In this video, I got 5 dinner ideas for a family on a budget, and I'm going to show you how to prepare them. I'll show you the receipt and break down the price of each meal, which, by the way, is under $3 per person per meal based on a family of 4. And yes, this is including buying the luxury item known as eggs. Let's start with meal number 1. Meal number 1 is some good old sloppy joes. I think sloppy joes are just something that hits right every single time. For our sides, we got the classic sloppy joe pairing of potato chips. And for our veg, I'll show you how to make some roasted carrots. As I peel these carrots, let's break down the prices and some ground rules for this video. I purchased all the groceries in the video at Walmart. Why Walmart? Well, it's because it's the biggest grocer in the United States. I think it's something crazy like 80% of Americans live within 10 miles of a Walmart. So I wanted to do a store that most people have access to, so they could replicate this at home. For meal number 1, here are the prices. Can you guess which item was the cheapest? 1 pound ground chuck, $5.93. Great Value brand chips. I went with cheddar sour cream, $1.98. $1.98 was also the price of the McCormick seasoning packet for sloppy joes. Hamburger buns cost me $1.46. And tomato paste was 86 cents. Carrots, 54 cents. But they were actually $1.08. But we're only going to use half of them in this meal. We're going to use the other half in a later meal, so I cut the price in half. I'm going to be doing that with a few other items during this video as well. And I am not counting for the price of things like salt, pepper, cooking oil, things that I think most people probably already have on hand at most times won't be included. By the way, I'll have all the recipes in the description box below. So now that we got the carrots peeled, we'll start chopping them up into like 2-inch pieces and place them in a bowl. We'll add a little bit of oil, and you can use whatever kind you have on hand. Olive oil would work, vegetable oil, canola oil. Even if you just have butter, melt a few tablespoons of that and throw it in. And then we're just going to season it with salt and pepper and mix it together. So I think most people probably have honey in their pantry, but maybe not. But you could add a tablespoon of that, or even maple syrup if you wanted. You could even throw a couple sprinkles of cinnamon on here and it would be fantastic. So all we need to do is lay them out on a sheet pan and roast them at 425 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. And while we're cooking that, we can knock out those sloppy joes. You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but tomato paste is something you want to actually cook for a little bit before you introduce liquid to it. Now, we'll just let this simmer on low while the carrots continue to roast. The total cost of meal number 1, $12.75 for sloppy joes, roasted carrots, and potato chips. So we'll add that to our grand total and move on to meal number 2. Meal number 2, ham potato soup. That's right, we're going to make some very hearty soup using the crock pot. I would recommend at least a 6-quart slow cooker for this recipe. We got to do a little bit of prep, and that's peeling and cutting potatoes, carrots, and onions. And keep in mind, the smaller you cut everything, the quicker it'll cook. If you want more of like a stew, then you want to chop everything in bigger chunks. Soup, really small chunks. Let's go through the price of each ingredient. Ham, $3.38. That's because we're only going to use half. Sour cream was $1.74. And chicken broth, $1.37. Potatoes, again, only going to use half, $1.19. Onion, 64 cents. And the rest of our carrots, 54 cents. And by the way, I only needed 2 carrots for the soup, so all the other carrots would have went with the sloppy joes. Now, there are 2 things that weren't on a shopping list, but I think most people have them around at most times: flour and milk. This is literally a dice and dump. Dice everything the size that you want it. Like I said, smaller for soup, bigger for stew. Throw it in the crock pot, cover it on up, and high for about 5 to 6 hours, low for about 7 to 8 hours. You basically want your potatoes to be fork tender. When they are, you do want to remove some of the soup and sort of mash up the potatoes. This is to help thicken everything. And then throw that back in the crock pot along with the sour cream, milk, and flour. This will just help make everything nice and creamy, and we want to cook out that flour taste, so we'll let that go for probably another 15-20 minutes. And then we will taste for seasoning. Does it need salt? Does it need pepper? You'd actually be surprised on how flavorful the ham makes this broth. It does need just a tiny bit of salt though. Serve it up in some soup bowls and you got a hearty, comforting ham potato soup. Even throw a little cheese on top. Total price for meal number 2, $8.86. Meal number 3 just might be my favorite. Red beans and rice. So Hillshire Farm smoked sausage, $3.98. Red beans and rice package, family size, $2.64. Half a green pepper, 43 cents. Half a bunch of red onions, 48 cents. So we'll cut up the green pepper and save 2 lobes for another meal. And then give a dice to the remaining green pepper and a dice to the green onion. We are going to separate the white part and the green part. Green parts for later, the white parts for now. We're going to take each strip and kind of cut it in half lengthwise and then chop it up. And then we'll open up the smoked sausage. We kind of want to cut this into pieces and then dice this up. Give me a second here. It's got to be a little obvious tab or something. Open this up. No. Easy open. So you want to take pieces of your smoked sausage and you can either slice them like this or cut them in half, cut the halves in half, and dice those into pieces. So sliced or diced, it's completely up to you. Then we're going to head on over to the stove and prepare our red beans and rice. You can use olive oil or butter and basically follow the package instructions. Add in the mix, add in the water. There you go. So the red beans and rice, we're going to bring it up to a boil, then turn it down to a simmer and let it go for 25 minutes. We're going to cook the green peppers a little bit, as well as the white part of the onions that we cut up. And the smoked sausage, we're going to cook that so it kind of gets crispy a little bit, a little browned, and then we're going to add all that to the pot with the rice and beans. So they'll get to know each other inside the pot, and dinner will be served. So you can do this with regular smoked sausage as well if you like. You might even save a little bit of money doing that. I just like the little spice kick that the andouille sausage gives. This whole hearty meal costs $7.53. Meal number 4 is pizza night. Salad kit, $3.98. Pizza sauce, this is good stuff by the way, $2.92. Pepperoni, $2.78. Mozzarella cheese, $1.97, and fresh French bread, $1. Went with a sweet kale kit, which is broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. You could, of course, go with your own family's favorite salad mix. This one has the accessory packet with the dressing, pepitas, pumpkin seeds, and cranberries. We just need to take our French bread and slice it in half lengthwise. Put it on a sheet tray and again, olive oil or butter, whatever you have on hand. Butter, you just want to make sure it's nice and soft and spread it all over in a thin layer. Olive oil, you just want to make sure you brush it around a little bit. We're going to throw it in the oven for about 7 minutes, get it a little toasty. Then we'll take it out and add our tomato sauce. And French bread's thick, so we want to go a little heavy on the pizza sauce. And of course, plenty of shredded mozzarella cheese. And we're going to layer on the pepperoni. I covered this one up pretty good, and look, we still have plenty of pepperoni left over. Just a little bit of more cheese on top. French bread pepperoni pizza with the salad, $12.65. Okay, meal number 5 has arrived. Eggs, $5.97. The rest of the ham, $3.38. The cheese was $2.60, and I even got a fancy cheddar Gouda Gruyere mix. The rest of the potatoes, beans, $1.19. The rest of the green onions, 48 cents. The rest of the peppers, 43 cents. If you haven't figured it out yet, meal number 5 will be breakfast for dinner. So you have 3 eggs per person. So you could do scrambled eggs, you could do an omelet like I'm going to do, and we'll go with a side of home fries. Start a pan with some oil, get your potatoes in the pan. We're going to throw a lid on it so they kind of steam and fry at the same time. And I kept the skins on so they get nice, crispy, and dark. Always make sure you season your potatoes really well. For the eggs, we'll start with a little bit of butter and get those green peppers going. I kind of like to get them a little bit soft. Then we'll add the ham, the onions, let those go for about a minute, and then we'll add in the eggs. If you're going with scrambled eggs, just go ahead and scramble those right up and add some cheese. I'm going to go with an omelet, so what I like to do is kind of push the edges in, and if there's a lot of liquid still around, I'll kind of push some egg forward and bring that liquid to fill in the gap. And keep pushing in those sides, and I'll just kind of let the egg start to set up before we attempt the fold, which doesn't always go as planned. So if you're going with an omelet and it breaks, then, well, just turn them into scrambled eggs like I do. We're going to add in a good amount of the cheese before we get the fold going. Got a little bit of a crack there, so I'm just going to fold in the other side, and that'll work. And there we go. A big old ham and cheese omelet with some home fries for dinner. Meal number 5 was our most expensive at $14.12. All right, so let's take a little bit closer look. Our 5 meals were $55.91, which comes up to an average cost per meal of $11.18. The per person total was $13.98, and that means our per person average $2.80. So there we go, 5 fantastic family meals for a family of 4 under $3 per person. We did it. And if you noticed one thing, I didn't always use the generic brand, so we could still bring the cost down even more. I'm Cooking with Chris. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you'd like more budget-friendly cooking videos. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on the next video. I'll catch ya on the next one.